And now for something completely different. None of you have seen this game before because it's something that I've made. It's called Sonus Aetheria, which is vaguely, loosely translated from Latin as Song of the Skies, because it's a game that takes a soundbite in and generates a procedural landscape based on it, and eventually there'll be like some things to do, but as of right now it's going to be sort of a walking simulator, because you have these nice objects that are sort of low poly just for performance at the moment, because a lot of this stuff was sort of my first foray into using the Unreal Engine, so I kind of went simple and then got complex, which is why there's all this grass. But this whole thing is my senior project for the last bit of my computer science degree, and because of that I've got some pretty complex stuff going on in the background, but that shouldn't be a big deal because while Unreal is fairly easy in some respects, it's, got good enough documentation, and it's generally pretty easy to figure out. So let me just take you guys around and take a look at some of the things I've created. This is the tree and foliage testing world, the first one in the list. And it's basically looking at the difference between the models that are placed manually and the ones that are placed with the foliage editing tool, which is a nice paintbrush. Reminds me a little bit of the landscape editor in like the old Far Cry games. I don't know if the newer ones still do that, but it's kind of like that, except much more controllable and has much worse performance. But, you can see in the corner there, 120 FPS isn't pretty bad, but this world is not large. The trees look funky here. Yeah, I've got this is my laser pointer. It's the default first-person blueprint ball launcher with a new sound effect. But yeah, these haven't been unwrapped properly, whereas these trees have. Don't blame me, I'm gonna fix it later, maybe. For the sake of the project, it's not a huge deal. But yeah, this is the, just foliage testing and seeing if these rocks look nice, and if I hit G, yes. I have the Technicolor grass farting option that's present in Otherworld. That was part of the testing for it. So we can just torture my GPU by spawning just so much grass and drop the frame rate down below 60. So let's take a look in the next world and see if it'll actually let us in. Hey, it worked, and the shaders haven't been compiled yet, so it's awful. I might need to look into that. There they are. Ah. So this is where I was originally testing a couple of the trees. I was gonna have about 5, but I think 3 is good for right now, and a cube of ice because I was playing with making some water textures. All of my textures have pretty much been handmade in GIMP using noise textures and just coloring it. But this, like this doorway is the built-in, like, gold. This is the land of broken dreams, because part of the thing was I was originally going to have it just make an image that it uses to displace the world. Which it does quite well. I mean, look, you can see we got mountains here, and it, with the height map and everything, changes the colors of a couple of different textures, but this is all done in the GPU. None of the displacement can be touched by the physics engine in the CPU, so everything is untouchable. I'm standing on an invisible panel right now, and I don't know where the extensive it is, so I might fall off and just go through the world because I can't make this clip. Yeah, you can see that. What? I think they were bouncing off of the... Yeah, they're still bouncing off of this thing. For a second, I thought the ball bounced off the mountain. And I was about to go and tear my hair out because it wasn't supposed to do that. Okay, this place is cursed. Let's fart grass for good luck and go to a different area. This is the good world. This is the one that makes my GPU sing. And this is the one that's randomly generated with colors and the position of the grass. It automatically builds the things and affects the water, which is actually a quite nice looking texture. It moves on its own, and I feel like it's pretty realistic except for that big line down there, but if you look through it, it distorts everything, and if I go in here and hit restart level, it'll put us back here with a different thing. This one isn't connected to the sound processing thing yet because I haven't quite finished it and it doesn't work, but every time that I restart the level, it'll put everything in a different spot, just around, and change all the colors. And change the size of the ground, because that's one of the things, is the bigger the sound, the louder, well, the longer it is, the bigger it is. Or maybe it was this... I think I'm going to have it the louder it is on average, the bigger the world is. So if you whisper, you'll be standing on a thumbtack. But it's really nice to look at. It's kind of zen. So if you just hit it again and... well, it puts me back in the middle, but now we have some warm colored trees. And it's kind of fun to walk around in. You can fart some more grass, torture the GPU a little bit, so a definite drop in the frame rate. Ah, there it is. If I'm not careful, these things will cover the door and I won't be able to get out, which might be a problem because this is submitted to a professor, and if they can't get out of this next level to see the other one, it'll be fine. Which the next one is going to take a minute to load because it was the torture testing for everything and is a pretty poorly optimized level. Here it is. This is a big, humongous open world that has some not particularly amazing performance because, I mean, it's bringing a 1070 to its knees. Yikes, you can kind of see it there. It's not amazing, though. This is another one of the tall grass types. And it's because this map is really big and is one map. I'm not, like, level streaming any of it. So this entire area, and, like, I think about 1 million of each grass object, and several thousand of these trees are all being loaded. And they have a pretty aggressive lot on them, but they're not disappearing. And this is all set to maximum anyway. Well, I mean, I can set it 1 notch higher, but I don't really know what that would do. The fog is a little bit, heavy. I was trying to get, you know, like the sort of god rays going, and you can see them a little bit, but they're just not as prevalent. I think I might actually have to make a specific thing to do that. Because the volumetric, fog stuff going on here is... well, you can't have it both ways. You can't see far and also have thick air. But this area is made in pretty much the same way as I would with the sound analysis system, except this uses a height map that I used in Blender to make the world. Because, like I said before, the height map in the real... well, the height map in here is just visual. It's for graphics, you know, like you put it on a wall and the bricks sink in. Wow. That's really fucking useful if I can't stand on it. Come on, guys. I'm sure that feature might be added in the future. I'm not 100% sure if it can be added, because I'm not, like, an expert on the way the engine works. But, like, oh god, flying through there. But you can see, you know, across the entire land, it's a pretty dense forest. And the mountains up here, you can climb up these kind of ugly ice cream mountains, and looks very cartoonish. Needed to make a couple of the grass types. There's supposed to be some other objects that I might make. And at some point, I do want to have a couple of NPCs, but I'm going to have to figure out how to model a human face without making something cursed. Or just goofy. But that'll be part of, what type of world is generated. Because the idea is to kind of do a subjective analysis of what sound is in and kind of guess at its tone. So it's very soft and soothing. You'll end up with, you know, like a cool blue world with, you know, like grasslands and a little bit of trees and some rivers and stuff. And it's a little bit more aggressive or slightly more like lively. You'll get like deep woods and lots of green and busy visuals and stuff. And if you just scream into it as anger, you'll get like this barren, red, scratchy, deserted land with like crusty trees and like ashes in the sky, and everything's nasty. And each one of those worlds will have its own NPC that will do things like, if like for instance the I think if I don't have my notes with me, but the soft world's supposed to have like a tour guide fairy who you probably shouldn't tell your name because you never tell your name to a fairy, but you know, just kind of go around and look at some things. And the medium world will have like a cat that you play hide and seek with, and then the angry world has a dude who hunts you down and kills you, and then you respawn, and then he kills you again, and then comments that you've respawned, and then gets bored. Eventually, I would like to get something implemented where this is all a sphere and you can like walk around in Super Mario Galaxy style, and you collect parts to make an apparatus or some kind of like spell circle. Maybe each world will have its own thing that you have to do on it. And you can input a new soundbite, whether it be currently you just stick a WAV file into it, but open up the mic and record a new soundbite into it, and Up in the Sky will form another world based on it, and you can go to it. That would be really cool. Really complex. And I'm trying to think of how to do that, and it's hurting my brain. Oh yeah. There's two of these that have connected together. Makes a very unhappy face. Ugh. But that's just kind of the basis of what I've been doing with this, and I think it's turning out pretty good for the time being, but I kind of want to keep this posted whenever I get more done because it's actually really cool and something I wanted to play with for a long time. And adding some RPG elements to it would make something interesting and unique. Because part of it's, even in my abstract, is most of the other things use just, random number generation. But it's a little bit more personal whenever you can make it out of your voice. So if you learn how to use the sound analysis system, you can sing a song into it and generate a world of a specific type. So once you've learned it, you can just use your voice as the parameter and know what you're going to get out of it. But as of right now, there's, grass and some low frame rate.